Yes, it's Monday, and we all know what that means. It's time for you guys to talk to me about ghosts. And that's what we're going to do. I hope you're all fantastically well. It is St. Valentine's Day. Yes, it is. I've met him, you know. Well, I haven't, but more on that later. Anyway, I hope that you've had a wonderful Valentine's Day. You're having a nice one. And if you're not into it all, I know there's people who are single. Brilliant. Well done, you. I envy your free time. And there are people who are in couples but don't bother. Well done, you. I envy your look at capitalism. And there are people like me who didn't forget. I left a card in his shop. But more on that later. Anyway, needless to say, it was a rushed day today. But none of this is spooky. So what are we going to do today? We're going to look at some of your amazing ghost stories, of course. We are going to do a paranormal review after this little segment. And, of course, we're going to speak to Bekah in her haunted Reddit corner. All in all, we've got a lovely little episode on a lovely day about love. Or not, if you're not into it. Anyway, but first and foremost, we of course need to say a big thank you to our wonderful Patreons. When you sign up to Patreon, not only do you get 2 podcasts each and every week, one a ramble, as you can tell I like to waffle, where I just talk about anything and everything that comes into my brain, as it comes into my brain. You also get a paranormal podcast on a Sunday, and Bekah's been a resident guest for the last month, which has been fun and lovely and argumentative. So you get all that and the back catalogue of about 200 episodes there to binge on at your content. And and you support the show. And I also say thank you via the medium of song, which I'm about to do now. So if you'd like to support the show and join our Patreon, head over to patreon.com/we need to talk about ghosts, just like these people have. The guitar is well and truly out, and we have 3 wonderful new Patreons to say thank you to today. We have Beth Hansen, Taya Couture, and Just and Kate. It's 4 technically, and this is for you. Oh yeah, Beth Hansen, Just and Kate, Taya Couture. You're helping to keep the lights on and keeping the show. You're keeping the show afloat. Thank you, guys. And it's on a 7th, as I like to do, here in Wintag Towers. So if you want to become a Patreon and binge all of those additional extra hours of content, head over to patreon.com/we need to talk about ghosts. Now, let's have a paranormal review, shall we? Where I review so you don't have to. It doesn't work. Okay, it's time for me to review something paranormal so that you don't have to, as I've just said. And yes, it still doesn't work as a saying. I really need to improve that, or at least find a better saying. Anyway, today we're going to have a quick review, or a quick recommendation, should I say, of another podcast. And that podcast is, and I'm sure you've heard of it, it's the Unexplained with Howard Hughes. Now, Howard Hughes is a proper broadcast journalist. Like, he's actually done news reports for radio companies when the Twin Towers went down and stuff like that. He's a well-spoken guy. I'll try and do a good impression of him because he's a fellow Scouser, but a well-spoken one. Let's see if I can. My name is Howard Hughes, and welcome to the Unexplained. No, I can't do it. Anyway, check him out. He's amazing. He's he's a legend, really, in the podcasting paranormality world. And you should check him out. He does about 2 shows a week. And he also broadcasts a live talk show in a London radio station. And yeah, he's just brilliant. You'll find him all online. You can get these podcasts anywhere. If you search The Unexplained, you'll see one that's called Unexplained with Howard Hughes. Just get it. Listen to them. You can binge them. If you've never found them before, you will thank me for this, because there's some great ones. He has some amazing guests. Like, he's had the woman who was involved in the Conjuring case. She's been on. He's interviewed Guy Lyon Playfair before. He's a genius, and he's very good at what he does. So 2 thumbs up right to the sky for Howard Hughes and The Unexplained, the podcast that you should stop this and go and listen to immediately. Now it is time for that part of the show which is my favourite, where we get to talk about your true paranormal experiences. Now, our first email is a cracker, and it's anonymous. The person writing it says, Hi. If you read this, and I am, please keep it anonymous, and sorry for spelling mistakes, I'm shaking as I type. So there you go. We're going to keep it anonymous, obviously, but if someone's shaking as they're typing it, I think we can all agree the writer sounds terrified, so let's go for it. Since I was young, my nan's house was in Leytonstone, East London. This is a story of the basement. Now, to give you some background, my nan is from Romanian gypsy descent. Therefore, she always told me I had a gift. I didn't understand what this gift was when I was 5 to 8 years old. All I knew was I could feel other emotions and how others were feeling. Now it was our secret. When I grew to 9 and 10, she warned me about contacting ghosts. "It's dangerous for our kind," she said. I always wanted to try with my friends, but got an overwhelming fear of Ouija boards or anything like that. My nan's voice would ring in my head, saying those words over and over. Now, to understand why I'm emailing you, I was terrified of one part of my nan's basement. I would feel a pressure whenever I would be in the shadows, like it was touching me from a young age. I stayed in the light and felt even safer when my nan was down there with me. One day, she explained why I must turn on the light before I opened the door to the basement. In brackets, again, a clueless child, I followed my nan's words to the letter. Nan always repeated that her guardian angel was in her cellar and would protect us as long as it could see who we were. Therefore, the light must be kept on. My granddad thought it was my nan playing tricks on us, but I always obeyed my nan's one rule. Flash forward to July 2013, my nan and granddad had passed away, and I decided I would help my mum to clean the house and empty it. I was 15 at the time. The house felt cold and dark. It was no longer the warm house that I remembered. I believed it was because my nan and granddad were no longer home. It was no longer welcoming. Little did I know. 2 days into cleaning everything out, it came to cleaning the basement. I said to my mum I would love to clean it. I'm protected as long as the light's on. We both laughed at the joke. The joke. Yeah, right. I walked towards the basement, opened the door slightly, put my hand in, turned the light on. I walked down the stairs. I'd done this 100 times before, but this time, something was wrong. I didn't feel safe. So I'm cleaning the shelves of what is old and what needs to be thrown out, when a bulb blows with a bang. I think nothing of it. Then another, and finally the third. That bulb plunges me into darkness and I cannot see, but I feel a hand on my neck and I scream. My scream came out muffled as I wasn't able to breathe, and this thing pushed me into the shelves. I felt the anger coming from this thing, like it wanted to scream, "Get out of my house." That's when the guy who was helping came and found me, and I was screaming at the top of my voice, "Get out of my house," in a man's voice. He picked me up and took me upstairs. As soon as I was out of the basement, I stopped. Now, the strange thing is, me and the guy only remember this incident. My mum doesn't. A week later, after finishing the clear up of my nan's house, my mum knew I was shaken up and decided to take me to get my hair cut. A psychic walked into the hair salon, as she was a regular too. My auntie, the salon owner, saw the psychic's face and asked her what's wrong. The psychic replied, "This is why I quit the job." She walked up to me and said, Elsie is protecting you, you know. She's the guardian angel your nan has assigned. She knows you and loves you." I brushed it off. I don't know an Elsie. It's all a trick. Then, one evening in 2014, my mum got out some photos, and we were looking through them. My mum said, "Gosh, you're looking more and more like my nan every day." So I asked, what was her name? And she replied, Elsie. My nan had always said that when she died, she would come back to play tricks on us as a ghost. And when I was up at 2:54 every night, I would wake to a nail scraping on the sole of my foot if it was sticking out of the bed, just like she'd done as a child. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but I believe I'm like my nan. There is something bad following me, but also something good. That's why I'm scared of Ouija boards or contacting spirits, as I shouldn't welcome it. I should never give it the opportunity to scare me again. I sometimes see this man in the corner of my eye. He's old, frail, and dressed in black, but he has no face. And that is all the submitter of that story has emailed in. You know who you are. I'm not going to say your name, but by God, what a terrifying story. That is amazing. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, but if any dead relative of mine came back to play a prank of scraping the sole of my foot with her bare nail, they'd get a kick to the face and I'd be out that window, 3 floors up or not. So well done you, you're very bloody brave, I'll say that much. But sincerely, the thing you're talking about at the end, the man in the corner, frail man, no face, you know him, you've just described him. Send us in more about that. I want another email from you, Anonymi. Yes, I do. Anyway, should we have one more? Yes, we should. Now, our next email is also anonymous. And it comes, it's entitled, 2 stories a decade apart, 1 room, from a skeptic. Interesting. And the email, it says it's entitled, or it's from H Stays Quiet. They write, hello all. Hello. 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 Meow. I haven't given my name because I'm a bit embarrassed about admitting the following. Hey, don't be embarrassed. It's not that these accounts are super fantastical. It's just difficult to process when you're already skeptical about ghosts or the supernatural in general. Anyway, here are 2 small incidences which took place in the same room, my bedroom in my parents' house, when I was a young teenager and then in my 20s. I'm in my 30s now. These incidents took place in a house near Heathrow Airport in a very ordinary suburb. Well, I'm intrigued. Nothing better than a skeptic writing in a ghost story, I think. So, let's see if that's the case. Here we go. When I was a young teenager, I shared a bedroom with my brother. It was the summer holiday, during the day, and I was on the top bunk of our bunk bed reading a comic. I heard my brother enter the room, looked over the bunk to see the top of his head, and heard him sit on his bed. I said, all right. I didn't hear any reply and thought nothing of it. I just figured he didn't feel like talking. After about an hour later, I tried to have a conversation with him again, and again, no one answered. I climbed down from my bunk and was surprised to find no one there. Our room was pretty loud. There was no carpet on the floor, so it creaked a fair bit when you stepped or moved across the knackered floorboards. That's how I heard him enter. Regardless of this, I figured somehow he must have quietly left the room. I went downstairs to where my mum, younger sister and brother were watching TV. I asked him when he'd come downstairs. He said he'd been downstairs the whole time. I explained I'd seen him move through the room, and then my mum confirmed that they'd all been in the living room for the whole time. It put me off going into the room for the rest of the summer by myself. If I did need to get something, I ran in and ran straight back out. I felt really stupid doing it during the day, whilst it was sunny. At least going to bed, we were both there and I could distract myself talking to my brother. It really freaked me out for some time, and I can still see what I saw so clearly in my mind today. The second incident took place around a decade later, and lasted only a fraction of a second. My sister and I walked into the same bedroom. I can't recall why. Probably grabbing something to bring downstairs. We looked down, and a small waste paper bin, about 30 centimeters tall, moved. Scraped itself across the floor about 10 centimeters. Physically moved, like it had been lightly kicked. We both looked at it. We both saw it, and to this day we have no explanation as to why or how this thick plastic IKEA paper bin moved. It was daytime. The window may have been open. I can't honestly remember. But the bin was a good 2 meters from the window, and I honestly don't think a gust of wind moved the thing. We certainly didn't say, "Can you feel that breeze? Look how it moved the sodding bin." We tried to work out what might have happened as the years have gone by, and it's become a bit of a family joke. Remember that time you saw a ghost? Or remember that time you thought you saw the bin move on its own? I've no explanation for these accounts. I've tried to figure them out. I've applied simple reason to what might have happened, but I always draw a blank. Maybe I fell asleep the first time, dreamt my brother entering the room and then woke up without realising. But it's never happened before or since. Maybe he did come upstairs and my mum and siblings just forgot or lied for a joke. But again, it's not something they've done before or since. And 22 years on, I feel like someone would have cracked and said something by now. For the second incident, there were two of us in the same room, and we were equally freaked out, asking each other if we'd kicked it by accident. We were a good few feet from the bin. Maybe a floorboard tilted, maybe there was some sort of tension that would cause it to move in such a manner. All I can explain is that the space was static, apart from our entering the room, and we purposely saw the bin move. Anyway, those are the stories. Make of them what you will. I've only started listening in the last few weeks to your show, and I'm really enjoying what I've heard so far. All the best, H. Well, H, thank you so much. It's great when a skeptic gets in touch and says, listen, I don't believe, but this happened. And I can't explain it. A little bit freaked out. Because, that's the sort of bread and butter which makes all of our spines go a-tingly, I do believe. So thank you so much, H. And if you got, I don't know what it is. I can't explain the bin, obviously. Yes, it could have been one of those things where maybe there was some tension caught on that floorboard and you opening the door has caused it to loosen and it's moved the bin a bit. Maybe. But also, it could be the devil himself. No, it could be a ghost. Sincerely, it could be. We just don't know. That's the beauty of these things that happen in the past. We have no way of telling, but it can be corroborated by your sister, which is fascinating. We love a good witness to help. Yes, we do. Anyway, it's that time in the show where we head over to the corner that is paranormal and features Bekah and Reddit. Yes, it's Paranormal Reddit Corner with Bekah. I nearly forgot the name of the title then.
Ladies and gentlemen, now it is time for Paranormal Reddit Corner with Bekah.
And we are here in the wonderful Bekah's Reddit Corner. Hello, Bekah.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm okay, how are you?
I'm not bad. Can you guess what I'm going to say to you?
No, what are you going to say to me?
Be louder. Let me move this. There we go. That might be better. I've moved the microphone now.
You were quieter.
Oh, no. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day. And don't worry, if you don't have anyone who's give you any gifts, it's probably on you. I'm joking, of course. It's not an important day. It's all just commercialism, isn't it? Let's be honest. Did I tell you I've met St. Valentine?
No, you haven't.
I've been to his grave.
That's not the same.
It is.
No, it's not.
He went, how are you, Kev? I said, I'm fine, thank you.
No,
St. Vinny.
That didn't happen.
St. Valley.
That didn't happen.
I didn't forget, I lost your card, didn't I?
Yeah, he came running in this morning. Beck, disaster.
Yeah.
But knowing how you overreact to things, believe it or not, I wasn't alarmed at these cries of disaster.
Yeah.
I was like, what's up, sweetie? You're like, your card, I've left it in the shop.
It sounds like a blag as well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
but I had.
That's exactly what Jim Royal says to Barbara Royal about her Christmas presents. He's like, oh, it's just in the shop, that's all.
Yeah, no. What happened was, because you love balloons on special days,
Yeah.
I got you 2 lovely balloons, didn't I?
Yes, lovely balloons.
Big helium ones. And at the same shop I bought a card and a little teddy bear, right? And because I didn't want the card popping the balloons, I put them in different bags. Now, because balloons, as you can imagine, helium balloons in a big plastic bag is a lot of nonsense in a busy shop when you're also trying to get stuff out and pay and carrying umbrellas and it raining and stuff like this. So clearly what I've done is I've paid. The shop assistant's been busy as well. I've took the balloons and left the card and the thing on the thing. But I also had in my hand, like your chocolates and stuff like that in different shopping bags, like Tesco bags and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I had my lunch in another bag. So all that I had in my mind was the bag with the balloons and everything in my left hand, as soon as I get in, gets shoved in the wardrobe until Valentine's Day.
Right.
And then Valentine's Day, I woke up and I went to write your card this morning and no card.
I mean, that was another question when you were like, I didn't even realise I've just gone to get it out. And I was like, so you haven't written a Valentine's card? And you were like, I always do it in the morning.
I always do it in the morning. Christmas.
Don't do it Christmas morning.
I don't do a Christmas card anyway.
And you don't do my birthday card in the morning either.
No, but there's a lot of work that goes into that, isn't there? That you normally get a little treasure map and all this. So I can't do that in the morning because it'd take forever. But like Valentine's and stuff, yeah, normally do it on the day.
Would I have liked the teddy?
It was just it would have just went on top of the wardrobe. It was just like a little one in a cardboard box holding a heart.
Okay.
Only a small one, like a token gesture. Because we don't go nuts, do we, for Valentine's?
No.
But anyway, none of this is important. Although, just to let everyone know what I got in return, I got Belgian sticky buns, I got Haribo by the bucket load, I got some chocolates, and garlic bread in a heart, didn't I? And crumpets in a heart shape, and cheese in a heart shape to go on the crumpets in a heart shape.
That's right.
So
I think they're the best bits, aren't they? The heart-shaped crumpets and heart-shaped cheese to go with the heart-shaped crumpets. Yeah.
Ironically, both things that will injure my heart in a medical sense.
You love crumpets
I
and
do love
cheese.
crumpets and cheese. Can I ask then, who are the square crumpets for over there?
So, I was trying to get the heart-shaped crumpets, and when I first went out, nowhere had the heart-shaped crumpets.
Right.
So, as a backup, I bought the square crumpets, and I had the heart-shaped cheese, and I thought, well, I could maybe cut the square crumpets into heart-shapes for you.
That's very noble of you.
But then I managed to get hold of the heart-shaped crumpets, so now we just have extra square crumpets.
Ah, amazing. I thought you were having an affair then, you see. I thought if you give crumpets to the men she loves, then who the devil are those for?
But at least I prefer you, because you got the heart-shaped ones, and you just got squares.
Well, yeah, very true. Anyway, none of this is paranormal. Anything spooky happened to you this week?
No.
That's a lie.
Oh, it's not. You always say this.
By the way, just to let you know, I'm working on a third podcast. Spoiler alert, but I am. And I'm looking into some stuff, right? And I was looking today, and it's pretty dark, and it's pretty government involved. So if I go disappearing, or if I suddenly die, it's not an accident.
What? What are you Googling?
I can't tell you right now because it's all top
Don't
secret.
be Googling illegal things.
It's not illegal.
Well, then why would you be disappeared?
Because it appears the more I look into this, more and more people have disappeared in looking into it. So
Excellent.
I thought I'd give it a go.
Oh, brilliant.
You know, why not? Anyway, that is kind of scary, but it's not paranormal. But I'll tell you what is paranormal. This story that I found in Reddit. Now, interestingly, what drew me to this is its title, because it reminded me of you.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
Is it, or is it? Let's see. The title of this is Non-Believer, but Something Spooky.
Okay.
So,
Give it an intro and
I
take
will.
it away.
Welcome to Reddit Corner with Bekah.
Woo!
Let's begin. I say something, but actually it's several things, and I still don't believe in ghosts, but... So, my son was adamant there was something going on in this house, and had several stories. He was brilliant at anecdotes, so I hope I do this justice. The main one is when he was home alone, watching TV with my two little dogs. Poppy was sat snoozing next to him, and Millie was curled up on his lap. He was lost in whatever he was watching, and then he heard the dogs running around upstairs, feet and claws tapping on the floorboards, chasing each other, making a hell of a racket. "Fuck's sake, damn dogs fighting, better go and bring them back down here," he said to himself as he lifted Millie off his lap and put her next to Poppy. He experienced a few other things too, and so have I. Did you see that? He's going, damn dogs upstairs, and they're both sat next to him.
They're both sat next to him, yeah. I did see that. You've done that very well, by the way. I completely believed you were shouting at naughty dogs.
Thanks. Sat chatting with my daughter in the lounge, and I hear what sounds like a tap, faucet, running in the kitchen. We both look at each other, then spend a good minute discussing who's brave enough to investigate. Because I'm the mum, it falls to me. And yes, the tap was turned on, full blast.
We've had that happen.
Haven't.
Well, we have.
My final few things I'll bundle together because I think they were grief-induced. My son died suddenly in 2018.
Oh.
But nonetheless scared me witless at the time. I've heard male voices so clear they've made me snap my head around to see who's spoken, seen things fluttering like a little bird out of the corner of my eye, and the one that really, really, please excuse my language, scared me shitless was feeling as though someone stroked my head and forehead as if to soothe me.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what do you make of that?
That's very sad.
It's very sad somebody died, and I suppose it's not unusual to see dead ones when they pass. No, to experience those sorts of things due to grief, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But, so, for example, you're already poo-pooing, I take it, the tap, because we've had the tap turn on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not going to rehash old ground, but we've had the tap turn on. So, then towards the end, she's saying about male voices and hearing stuff and things flushing in the corner of the eye.
Right, okay, so, no, back to the taps. The interesting for me thing there, what, not our tap, their tap, is if the tap's gone on and both her and her daughter are like, I'm not going, you go, no, I'm not going, you go, and they're both already scared and don't want to go, immediately, without even looking into it, their mind has jumped to the paranormal. Like, why is that? That's what I would kind of question. Why was
because
that
the tap's
their
turned
default?
on by itself.
Well, they don't know that without going to look at it, do they?
Well, even weirder if they go in and there's a man stood there. I'm like, you're not meant to be here.
Well, yeah, but you know, the fact that
It's all right, it's a murderer. Phew.
It's okay, it's just a human in our
Yeah.
house who shouldn't be. Well, in that case, even worse. If it was a man, she wouldn't be sending a daughter in there.
Yeah, it's true, yeah.
Stranger. So, yeah, that's just the reason for that. Why was that automatically? Why was it presumed to be paranormal?
See, now out of all of those things, I would say that the tap one is the least explainable. So I would say, like, the scratching and feet running upstairs could be mice.
Yeah.
Or rats on a false ceiling. I've heard that before, and it's very disturbing, especially if it's a hollow ceiling.
Yeah, or sometimes noise does funny things, and it sounds like it's coming from one direction when actually it's coming from another.
Yeah, very true.
We've done that when we've heard a noise somewhere, and you've gone, yeah, it's over this way, and looked left, and I've thought you were saying the same as me, and I've been like, yeah, no, it's this way, and looked right, and we're like,
exactly,
what? And we just both have completely heard it from different directions.
Yeah, and it's easily done as the sound reverberates off things, but, and that's what I mean, and the thing about, I do think grief can do things like to your brain, definitely. But also, the thing she describes in the later ones where she's put it down to grief, that could be infrasound. So the fluttering in the corner of the vision, that's a common thing of low frequency. Infrasound noise. So a really low frequency noise can vibrate your cornea and cause like things moving in the corner of your vision.
Okay.
I don't know whether it can affect sound. I don't think it can. But it can make you feel sensations like being touched as well.
Right, okay. See, I think as well, optical illusions are often like not really explored as a possibility, when I think that might frequently be the case. So, like for example, in Liverpool, there's a couple of paintings around, one in an art gallery and one in this like quirky quarter just near us, where the paintings, and they're painted in such a way deliberately that when you walk past, like left to right, it looks like it's moving with you. Yeah. Like it looks like you can see a different perspective, almost as if you're looking through a window, and as you walk past, you can see more of it round. And they're really good. They're really realistic, really and like clever, every time you walk past, you notice. But that's just like an optical illusion, and why, it's so well done. Why don't why don't we presume that can happen just in general day to day? There's so many things that you look at and you're like, oh, when you look at that, it's actually that. We never kind of think of that, do we?
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, it must happen in everyday life that people see things and mislabel them. But for me, it's the paranormal. Right. Not all the time, but I think a lot of the time. I just think it shouldn't be poo-pooed out of hand. I've got to stop saying poo-pooed.
Yeah, I know, it's not.
It's like something like maybe little Lord Fauntleroy said, stop poo-pooing my idea, mother.
Yeah, it's not your best turn of phrase.
No, it's not my best turn of phrase. Anyway, Bekah, thank you for joining us, or allowing us into your corner. You've got anything spooky planned upcoming that we need to know about?
No.
Any tarot readings or, ghost hunts that you're going on?
No, I don't.
Unsurprising.
So. No, unsurprising. We've been in about 3 different buildings this weekend, though, where you've gone, this is probably haunted.
Because it probably is haunted. I mean, we were in a dock, like Liverpool Albert Dock, which has been there since, like, the 1600s or something. In a building in there, which has turned into a restaurant, and it's, like, in the arches of the dock, so that's definitely haunted.
This is a nice pizza, though.
They did a nice pizza. But I have thought, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to get, like, little map of Liverpool, and I'm going to start just going into places, like the independent places, not like Mackey's, and saying, oh yeah, I'm doing this survey. Would you say this place is haunted? And if so, why?
I'm doing a survey. But you're going to have a clipboard and wear a high-vis?
Well, all right, I won't say survey. All right, I'm doing something because...
Oh, excuse me, you got 5 minutes. Scale of 1 to 10, how haunted would you say this place
No,
is?
I reckon though that'll be an absolute brilliant thing to do. You'll get loads of invites to go in and do... look around and stuff.
Here's an idea. Have you ever thought of just setting up a stand in town, the way loads of people do, and just saying, talk to me about ghosts with a big sign, and having people just come up to you and tell them your ghost stories?
I've not thought about doing that, and actually that's a really shit idea.
Why do you think that?
Because all you'll get is kids firing McDonald's straws at you. You firing McDonald's straws at me. And people calling you knobhead and throwing stuff.
Why do you think that? Do you think people will come up and just...
No, because ghosts have still got that weird sort of thing, hasn't it? People presume... it's a weird stuff for weirdos, and no one wants to be seen as a weirdo. I know it's not. I do a podcast about it.
Anyone who reckons they've had a ghost story will tell anyone who'll listen about the ghost story.
Also, who's got time walking through town, like on your lunch, to go and have a 10-minute chat with me about ghosts?
Well, I meant of a Saturday when it's a more laid back...
Okay, well, I'll think about it. I mean, it's fucking weird, but I'll think about it.
All right, whatever. I mean, don't do it for my benefit.
I will. I'm doing it completely for your benefit.
I don't need you to do it. I'm just saying, if you want to gather some local ghost stories, that might be the way.
It's not about... You know what? In all honesty, you've had worse suggestions. I'll be honest. None spring to mind, but you have. Well, thank you, Bekah.
You're welcome.
And,
Bekah. Weird, wasn't it?
Turned into a crow then. Sorry about that. And yeah, thank you. We look forward to re-entering your corner next week. Mm-hmm. That sounded sexual, didn't it?
Did you?
On this Valentine's Day. Anyway, thanks, Bekah.
You're welcome. Thank you for visiting Reddit Corner.
Oh, no, that sounded sexual too. Just Valentine's Day. Anyway, bye.
Bye.